Oud fragrances. So that's that time of the year when I start pulling a lot more oud dominant fragrances out. Now, while I don't have the most challenging, crazy, off the wall, fecal smelling ouds or anything, which none of that interests me anyhow, I do have my fair share of easy to wear, somewhat unique, and just flat out enjoyable ouds, if you're into oud anyway, in my collection. In this video, I'm going over my personal 15 favorites. Though I have way more than 15, I whittled it down to 15. So stay tuned. Starting with possibly my favorite gourmand oud, to be honest with you. All of these perform great, so I'm not even going to mention performance the rest of the way after this one because, like I said, all perform great from here on out. That being Montal's Honey Oud. So if you're no stranger to this channel, you're no stranger to hearing me talk about how good of a fragrance this is. A little medicinal, more warm woody than anything, coated with honey, vanilla shavings, sprinkled with cinnamon, warm amber, adds a little bit of a dry powdery nature to it. Just so well blended. Such a lovely, lovely, high compliment factor in my experience, oud-based fragrance. It's definitely dominant here. You do smell it from start to finish. It's not just a supporting player as with some fragrances. I wanted to focus on ones where oud's one of the stars of the show in the fragrance, and that's definitely the case with Montal Honey Oud. Absolutely sample worthy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's real challenging because it's not. It's one that I would consider a bit easier to wear if you like sweet fragrances. This might be a good way to dip your toe into niche ouds, or somewhat niche anyways, because Montal and Mancera, not the most natural of ouds. They use more synthetic ouds if my memory serves me correctly, but definitely pretty easy to wear overall for the most part. And this one's just delightful. This stuff, for an oud fragrance, it's a sexy smell. It really is. Has a delicious quality because there's just so much vanilla and honey here, but it's not overdone. Like I said, the balance here and the blend is done very, very well. Had to start off with one of my favorites, that being Montal Honey Oud. So there are some designer ouds that I do really enjoy, and this is one I couldn't wait for the cold. It's actually snowing outside right now today, and I'm wearing an oud fragrance today. When we get to that fragrance, I'll discuss it then. But Dolce Gabbana, The One Mysterious Night. Not the most popular of oud fragrances for sure. I mean, there's some people that enjoy it, don't get me wrong. But I find more oftentimes than not, it gets overlooked. It is oud rose. It is more of a powdery type of oud rose. Dries down into a warm wood type of smell. It's not too medicinal of an oud. Another one that's more of a warm wood type of oud smell, where not real challenging because it is synthetic as far as ouds are concerned, but for a designer oud fragrance, the quality is actually not bad here. It's actually pretty damn good in my opinion, and I love the way it smells. It's more of a classier oud fragrance. This is one that I personally like to dress up when I wear it. That's why I don't wear it all the time. It's selective, but in the colder weather, this is one of those more dressy occasion type of oud fragrances. When I really want to, stand out a little bit, this is one of those types of fragrances. Oud fragrances are good for standing out in a crowd for sure. One that gets overlooked. Definitely one of my personal favorites, and possibly my favorite designer oud. It's Dolce Gabbana, The One Mysterious Night. Now this particular oud fragrance is something different. I don't have any other ouds that smell like this one. This would probably be about as challenging as I personally will go with oud. That being Mancera, the oud. This is mountains of oud. Biblical type of oud smell, okay? Super, super Middle Eastern oud smell. Yes, it has some rose. Yes, there's some underlying spice and sweetness here, but dominated by this super mega pencil shaving medicinal, kind of combining the both. Oud smell, like church pew type of woods. You know what I mean? This is this is potent. This is a very, very pungent oud. But one of the more unique ouds in my collection, and like I said, this is about as challenging as it gets for me, because it does smell good to me. I have gotten a few compliments in wearing this one. I've decanted for a few people prior, but a lot of this dent is me personally, while another one, not one I wear all the time. This is a certain occasion type of oud as well, because this is one that has the oud smell where people are either going to think you smell interesting, different, and special, or they might think you stink. This is that kind of oud. Like I said, this is as challenging as it gets for me, but one that I cherish and I am glad to have. So when I get in the mood for that somewhat challenging of an oud smell, I go with Mancera, the oud. Another designer oud that I love to wear in the winter, I got it last winter. It's very, very spicy. I actually think it's the best flanker in the line, that being the Bulgari Man line, this being Black Orient. Hard to find, sought after. Shout out to Dan Spanos for sending this to me last winter. It's the time of year for me to pull it out. Oud, leather, spice. Beautiful. For a designer, pretty good quality too. Not private line type of designer quality, but for a Bulgari fragrance, it's solid. I love it. Performs great too. I know I said I wasn't going to mention performance. It's a habit with certain fragrances, because when it comes to Bulgari, not everything's a performer. Man in Black, that this is flankered from, not the greatest performer. Average at best for most people. This takes that baseline DNA, cranks up the leather, adds some synthetic oud, and cranks up the spice. The booziness is gone. The florals are gone. It's edgy. It's a little animalic. It's freaking awesome. This is a very masculine oud. Not one I would deem unisex, though I do know a lot of women that like to wear more masculine fragrances. So really, everything's unisex, because there's a lot of feminine fragrances I like to wear too. It's all in, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that fits fragrances as well. If you like it, you like it. It is what it is. And with this one, leans very masculine. Like I said, leather, oud, spice. That's what dominates this fragrance. And yes, it's a synthetic oud, but in some cases that can be a good thing, because it makes the wearability kind of go up a little bit. It's easier to wear when it's not a challenging oud. And this is definitely an easier wear as long as you like leather, because there's a lot of animalic leather here. That's one of the beauties that separates this from the line. I believe it's discontinued. I'm not certain on that. I can't confirm it. I have heard rumblings that it is, that's the reason it's so hard to find these days. But if you can find this for a decent price, one of the best designer winter ouds out there. Bulgari Man Black Orient. So this is one of the newest ouds to my collection, and it's the most unique that I've added in quite a long time, because it's a precious oud. It's a rare smoky oud that was used here, perfumed by my main man Claude Deer. This is Narcotica from Door Perfumes. This is gorgeous. The cannabis note in here doesn't just smell like marijuana. It's an earthy green leaf type of smell with this smoky oud. Lovely. Look at that pressurized atomizer. And a lot of amber. A lot of warm amber. This isn't too in your face as far as projection. It doesn't push real heavy, but it wears kind of heavy, so the aroma will linger in the air. The trail's pretty strong on this one. This is one I urge everybody. Go to Door Prestige's website. They decant. They have samples. Get a decant and try it, because it's expensive. This 100 ml is $280 US. It's pricey, but when you get your hands on it and try it, you can understand why. It smells expensive. It's 28% concentration. It's a true extrait. Claude worked magic with this. I'm so glad he used a precious oud. This is how it was explained to me when I was at Door Prestige. If you look at the note breakdown, the listing actually says rare oud in the note breakdown. But when I spoke to Claude, it's a particular precious oud that has a heavy smoky nuance that he wanted to use when he was creating this. Mission accomplished. And there's a lot of fragrances with a cannabis note that just smell too much like weed, and it's just not the best situational fragrance, you know what I mean, for a lot of situations, whereas here, it does not come across that way at all. The blend and the type of cannabis oil that was used here, it just fits. I don't know how better to put it than it just fits. For an oud-based fragrance, this is a sexy date night intoxicating type of fragrance. It really is. This smells of class and luxury. I'm telling you guys, try this one. I'm super happy to have this in my collection. There's Narcotica by Door Perfumes. Next, this is probably the most synthetic oud in the video, but I just love it. It's Boss Bottled meets synthetic oud. Boss Bottled Oud. I just really, really enjoy this fragrance. I don't know what it is about it, because the original Boss No. 6 Boss Bottled is one of my all-time favorite fragrances. It's one of the fragrances I've been through more than one bottle of. It's just, you know, nostalgic for me. Like Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger, like Polo Green, like the original Nautica. You know, this falls into that same category. This was my childhood and early teen years and so on. It screams 90s. 90s was my era, you know. And this is that DNA, that actual aroma meets oud. And oud is something that's newer for me in the last several years of my fragrance journey. So it's like combining my past joys of scent profile with my newer taste. Granted, it's synthetic. It's not a natural oud. It's very synthetic. But it works. It adds for the wearability. It's another one, above average performer. This one's not a beast. This is possibly, it is. This is actually the weakest performer in the video and still performs above average. 6 to 8 hour type of stuff. Can't really complain for a $40 fragrance. And it has some uniqueness. Even though it does smell like Boss Bottled, the oud separates it. Really does. One that some people are going to either hate or some people are going to love. I think this one's more on the polarizing type of scent, but I fall into the love category. Very happy to have this one in my collection. That is Hugo Boss Bottled Oud. Basically a niche Tom Ford oud wood. Has that heavy, cleaner, medicinal oud in it. This is Spirit of Kings Zorak. Now, I've yet to wear this one this winter. I wore it a handful of times last winter. This is beautiful. It really is. Now, when I say that cleaner smell, I know that can sound off-putting, but when you smell it, you'll understand where I'm coming from. If you're a fan of Tom Ford oud wood, you will like this, because like I said, it's niche Tom Ford oud wood. It's 100% a niche version, a niche clone, a niche inspiration, however you would like to dub it. That's what Spirit of Kings Zorak is, and they did a wonderful job. Performs slightly better than oud wood, because I know oud wood's historically known for not being the best performer. This isn't much better. This is like a 6 to 7 hour fragrance. It's in the realm of what you would get out of oud wood, maybe just a little bit better, but the quality, it's stepped up a little bit. It really is. They use top tier oils with Spirit of Kings. That's one of the beautiful things about this company, aside from this gorgeous presentation. I just love their bottles. I really do. But I don't have Tom Ford oud wood. I had a decant in the past. Never got around to spending the money on a bottle because it's very pricey, and you can actually get this for less than you can get a bottle of Tom Ford oud wood. And the quality's better, the performance is a little bit better. Maybe get a sample and try it. There's discovery sets available for Spirit of Kings. They have some really good stuff. I have 2 fragrances from them. Matar, which is Smoky Aventus, and this, Zorak, which is Tom Ford oud wood. One of my little underrated gems in the niche oud world would be from Montal, that being Spicy Oud. Now, I say lesser known, underrated. I really don't see anybody talk about this. This is a tester. That's why the keeper is going through the atomizer instead of under the neck. So this is a lot of saffron, red hot spice up top, like a peppery spice almost, even though saffron's the only spicy note in there. But as it dries, it's a very creamy patchouli, warm wood, earthy type of patchouli oud smell. Dominated by oud and patchouli. That's majority of the life of this fragrance. Another one, enormous performance, but a bit unique. Very simplistic note breakdown. Like I said, it's very simple stages of the fragrance. You get the warm, oudy type of smell, slightly medicinal oud wood up top with this gorgeous red hot spice that, like I said, the only thing spicy in the note breakdown is saffron. So it's kind of interesting for being saffron because it doesn't completely smell like saffron to me. It's got a peppery quality, a red hot peppery quality. But within, 2 or 3 hours, that spice really starts to tone down heavily, and it's all about that medicinal oud, the warm wood smell, and then you get this gorgeous, creamy, earthy patchouli. And I'm not always the biggest fan of patchouli, but when it's done right, it's done right. And in this fragrance, it's done right. Another one I deem sample worthy for sure because not too many people know about it. So I hope I'm helping get the word out so more people will try Spicy Oud from Montal because it's definitely an underappreciated gem. Cheapest oud fragrance in the video for sure. And it doesn't smell like the $20 you can get it for. That being Banana Republic number 17 Oud Mosaic. I haven't wore this one since last winter either, because we're just now starting to get into this winter weather. So these are starting to make the rotation. I'm wanting to talk about them. I'm wanting to wear them. A lot of plum, oud, and rose. And the oud here is a little stanky. It's a little bit more on the pencil shaving type of smell, but a little bit more stinky type of oud. Not super challenging, but for a $20 Banana Republic fragrance, you're not expecting this smell. Another one, Perfume by Claude Deer, my guy. Did a great job. Now look, retail's not $20, but at rack stores, got this from Burlington, $20 for a 75 ml. This smells and performs so much better than the $20 you're going to pay. This is a bargain and a half, and then some, really. Kind of an understatement to say a bargain and a half. You're going to get in that 7-8 hour performance range. Some people have even told me they get more. I get in the 7 to 8 hour range, and it has it's not mold breaking because it is an oud rose, so there's a ton of oud roses out there, but what kind of gives this one a little bit different type of scent profile is that sweet juicy plum. Very, very dominant up top. So it is a sweeter oud, but a fruity sweet oud. Really dig that about it. If you see this one out there for $20 and you're looking for oud, roll the dice. Number 17 Oud Mosaic. Now this is the fragrance that's actually my scent of the day. And it's pushing nice and strong. It's still, other than that initial little spray with some of these fragrances where I wave it into my face, this is what I'm smelling the whole time we're in the video. It's one of the newest ouds to my collection. I just got it yesterday as of the recording of this. It's Eau de Parfums Sweetie Oud. One of the most popular fragrances from the house. And for good reason. It's a more unique oud rose. Yes, another oud rose, but this one's got a balsamic quality to it. It's got this hard candy type of sweetness smell. The note breakdown won't tell you that. Maybe the amyris is what kind of helps give me that smell with some of this balsamic quality that it's got. It's a creamy resinous type of nature to the smell. And up top I get this strange hard candy smell plus the oud. This is another one a bit more on the medicinal side for the oud. And super, super enjoyable. The name, I guess, leans feminine because it's called Sweetie Oud. But the scent profile I wouldn't sit here and call feminine. Very unisex. Ladies that enjoy oud, gonna love this one. Andrea, Curly Scents, one of her favorite fragrances. Her favorite Eau de Parfums fragrance. For those of you that saw our blind smell and rate Eau de Parfums video on Justin's channel with me and Andrea, she gave this an 11 out of 10, okay? This is absolutely worthy of a try. This is one of the most popular fragrances from the house for a reason, because it's one of the more pleasing and enjoyable and slightly unique oud fragrances out there. Pricey, sure, but you get what you pay for with Eau de Parfums in my experience, and I had to wear it as soon as I got it. I mean, I sprayed it on yesterday on my skin, but today I'm actually giving it a full wearing because it just smells incredible. Eau de Parfums Sweetie Oud. One of the more wearable summertime type of oud fragrances. So not completely surrounded by oud, but oud is very distinctive in this fragrance, that being the original Kajal Homme. This has a lot of orange blossom, and tonka bean to go with the oud. It's a slightly powdery fragrance because of the tonka bean. It's got some sweetness. This bright, rich orange smell with that petally, fleshy, kind of, I guess you could call it an earthy flower smell from the orange blossom with this warm wood oud smell. Not a medicinal type of oud, more of a pencil shavings oud. Wearable, very, very wearable. Smells of luxury. Pricey, but smells pricey. Performs well too. This is one that I get every bit of 8 to 10 hours, usually close to that 10-hour range. Even in the high heat in Houston weather, when I first got this fragrance, I was getting around 8 hours of longevity on my skin, sweating like crazy outside. And I still deem it to be probably the best fragrance to start with from the house, because it adds some uniqueness, but still some mass appeal and ease of wear. It kind of checks all the boxes for me. Slightly unique, niche because of the level of oud and difference of smell, but not so challenging, easy to like, and performance is fantastic on it. Of course, The presentations are always stellar with Kajal perfumes. My favorite spot to start, what I always recommend is the #1 fragrance to try first from the house, the original Kajal Homme. Now we have our third Montal fragrance, because really I could have made a video of Montals and Manceras with Oud, because I got a lot of them. There's a bunch of Manceras that got omitted, and there's a few Montals that got omitted that feature a dominating Oud note, or Oud is even in the name to begin with. But I wanted to feature my absolute favorites. And this is one that I picked up last winter that, believe it or not, because of the earthy nature to this, and it's more like a heavy pencil shaving type of oud with an earthy tobacco, it kind of smells like Flintstone vitamins to me, oddly enough, up top. That being Montal Oud Tobacco. I know that's an odd way to describe how it smells. When in the full review, I mentioned that as well. Yeah, there it is, like a grape Flintstone vitamin. I know that's weird, but it's oddly addictive. For those of you that grew up on Flintstone vitamins, it's going to make you smile when you smell it. Unless you hated Flintstone vitamins, then you'll never unhear this. I apologize if that ruins the fragrance for you. I don't mean to, because it's nostalgic and brings back fond memories of my childhood with Flintstone vitamins. But the earthiness, it's an earthy, drier type of oud and tobacco fragrance. The name's fitting because it's very dominant by this pencil shavings oud and dry, earthy tobacco. Not quite a leafy tobacco, but definitely a drier tobacco. There's a little bit of sweetness here. There's not really much spice going on, but there is some warmth in the dry down. And another one, crazy performer. Like I said, as with pretty much every fragrance in this video for the most part, all but like one. Boss Bottled Oud's above average performer, not a beast. Everything else pretty much beast. And you can expect that type of stuff with Montal. And if you want a different oud, this smells different, which is hard to do these days, I think you should try it. Definitely sample, unless this sounded great to you, sample before you buy. Absolutely sample before you buy, because like I said, there's a chance that you're not going to like this because you heard me say Flintstone vitamins, and I promise you that's what you're going to smell when you open it now, once you hear me say that, once you hit the opening of the fragrance. Or you're going to be very excited because that's a fond memory with that scent profile for you. But it's different. Good different, in my opinion. That's why it's in this video. It's one of my favorites. Montal Oud Tobacco. My favorite oud incense in my collection. I actually wore this for Thanksgiving Day. It's the only homage in the video. Homage Epic Man. So this has that more medicinal, cleaner Tom Ford Oud Wood type of oud smell with a lot of spices, a little bit of freshness up top, a little bit of sweetness underlying in the background, but a heavy dose of incense. Man, Middle Eastern vibes, but more of a mass appealing Middle Eastern fragrance, to be honest with you. I think this one's pretty easy to like. Interesting and different, sure, but not crazy challenging for oud and incense. Fair enough, right? Definitely another one, because it's so expensive, try before you buy. I mean, I had a decant of this before I decided to get a full bottle. Obviously, upon the first time I smelled it, I was like, ooh, I need a full bottle of that. And for good reason. It's quite possibly my favorite homage fragrance at this point. I have several. There's many I've tried that I don't have full bottles of, that I may just have decants or samples of. But it's definitely my favorite, hands down. Performs great on me. Is kind of a head turner. In my experience, it was topic of conversation at Thanksgiving this year, which was intentional. That's why I wore something like this. But it wasn't so challenging that I didn't really think there was going to be a situation where somebody didn't like the way I smelled, and that seemed to be the case. It was an overall positive experience, and one that absolutely is a must-try in my opinion. I'm not going to say that about every homage fragrance, even though a lot of them are fan-frickin-tastic. I think this is a must-try if you like oud and incense. That'd be an homage Epic Man. One that I actually wore the other day. This has that coffee cake, tiramisu type of smell with a whole bunch of oud up top. Not really a challenging oud. I deem this a gourmand oud fragrance for sure. Mancera. Crazy for oud. I love this stuff. Did a full review last year. I picked this one up from Kingdom Fragrances. Obviously a beast performer. And so delightful. The oud's not overpowering, though very, very present. It doesn't overtake the fragrance. The sweetness really is the star of this show, that coffee cake smell. Coffee, I don't recall being in the notes, but if I remember correctly, tiramisu is in the notes, and that's a chocolatey coffee cake dessert type of thing. And actually had some recently when I was in California from Dantana's. Shout out to Dantana's for their fantastic tiramisu. This kind of reminds me of it with some oud, to be honest with you. And not too many people talk about this one. I'm super happy to have this one in my collection first and foremost, because it's one that you really don't hear about too often. That's kind of an underrated gem, if you will, because it just smells so freaking fantastic. I love wearing this one. It's the time of year when I pull it out. Like I said, I wore it the other day. Like within the last 2 weeks I wore it and enjoyed every second of it being on my skin, which is pretty much from start of when I spray it till I take a shower that evening. It sticks to my skin. A lovely gourmand oud. Is Mancera crazy for oud? Now the reason I saved this one for last, this is another one that I just got yesterday. I've only sprayed it on my skin. I've smelled it on test strips in the past. I sprayed it on my skin yesterday. It's a very special scent profile. It's not quite a showstopper, but bordering it. That being Roger Parfums Amber Oud. So I got this in the same package as Sweetie Oud. I'll probably be wearing this over the next several days as well. My experience is limited with this one, but this is a gorgeous oud fragrance. Amber being in the name, and it does have an amber smell, but I don't recall ever seeing amber in the note breakdown. It's a very complex note breakdown, as are most Roger Parfums fragrances. The best way I can describe this one to you is with the word smooth. This is such a smooth scent profile. Just enjoyable and nothing rough around the edges. No serious spice jumps out, though there is a lot of spice here. It's not too much. There is sweetness here, but it's not too much. There's an ambery smell without even having amber, again, but it's not too much. Everything is so masterfully blended. It's just nice and smooth. Obviously a try before you buy. This is a very expensive fragrance, but one that when you get your nose on, you'll understand just how special it is. This is another one of the more popular fragrances from the house. And if you got the money, sure, you can blind buy it if you want to, but this would be one of the more expensive blind buys out there. This is hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a 100 ml in US conversion. Definitely try before you buy. And one that I advise to never spray on clothing. Look how dark that is. Gorgeous. But definitely not something you want to spray on any type of fabric, in my opinion. Sticks to your skin. Bordering a room filler. Easy on the sprays unless you want everybody in the room to smell you. If you spray this one heavy, you might choke yourself out. But it's magnificent. It really is. One that I can't wear. I'm going to save for special occasions this winter, but I will be wearing it at least a handful of times in the coming months. That being Roger Parfums Amber Oud. Well, that is my current 15 favorite oud dominant fragrances in my collection. Until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What's some of your favorite ouds? Have you yet to even dive into oud? Are you newer to the hobby and you haven't really started spending time with oud? Oud is definitely something I would advise sampling first, because some people cannot stand any of the different varieties of smells that oud can be. There's different, like medicinal has that medicine type of smell. There's pencil shavings, that dry wood. There's a warm wood smell. There's smokier oud. There's barnyard oud. There's super dry biblical church pew smelling oud. There's so many different types of oud aromas and qualities of oud out there. It's endless once you get into oud. So that's why I say absolutely always sample any oud fragrance that sparks your interest before just rolling the dice and buying a bottle, because some of these oud fragrances, they get really expensive. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 15 that are my favorites in my collection and you give them a spray now, I don't know, it's possible you might thank me later. Have a good one, guys.